Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is Defub21, and as is always the case, I have a new, and in this case, quite interesting video game trailer for you today. This is I believe the full name of it is the Mass Effect Andromeda official cinematic reveal trailer. So this should be a much bigger, much more substantial trailer than the ones we've seen previously. Again, cinematic implies either CGI or rendered in engine, whichever one it is, telling us more detail or giving us more detail of the story of this game and the setup for this game and so on. I literally know nothing else about it. I believe this game is coming at some point. Is it early, or at least in the first half of next year? I don't think it's been, it was delayed. It's supposed to come out this year. It's been delayed, I think, till next year. I don't think it's been delayed late into next year, but I think it's first half of 2017. Anyway, without further ado, let's take a look, and then I shall promptly let you know what I think.
We slept for hundreds of years, dreaming of a new home. But when we finally awoke, our dreams of peace were shattered.
Welcome back.
You're the new Pathfinder.
This is incredible.
It's acting like a gravity well.
I have a bad feeling.
We're the aliens.
My God.
Well, what is there to say about this? The core premise of the trailer is typical kind of predictable stuff. We thought we were going to find this new paradise, like, unblemished by any Adam and Eve type characters, that we could wander and frolic in the woods and have no problems and everything be wonderful and fine. And what do we find when we get here? Oh yes, there appear to be locals, and they appear to be assholes, and they appear to be able to fight back, unlike certain other indigenous societies / cultures one could name that were not so lucky in our actual history. The trailer, at the end of the trailer, it says that the whole thing is captured in engine. My guess is it's the Frostbite engine, which has been responsible for the hugely visually impressive Battlefield 1, particularly if you've got a good PC gaming rig. I'd say the bulk of the trailer consists of basically cinematic sequences that are rendered in engine, but there do appear to be one or two clips of actual in-game footage where you're controlling a character, where you can see a character from a third-person perspective with these big kind of huge machine things. In other words, they appear to be boss fights, basically, or the equivalent of them, and they look, again, visually very impressive. And again, the Frostbite engine, made by DICE, does look very, very good. I mean, it should be noted, as an example, I think Infinite Warfare, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, is the first Call of Duty game not to have a version for the 360 and the PlayStation 3, so it's probably the first true Call of Duty game that's not being held back by the limitations of last-gen hardware. I think the same was true of, not sure if it was true of Battlefield 1, I can't remember if Hardline or Battlefield 4 had last-gen versions, but there have been, we've got, you've seen, as I'm sure you'll know, Red Dead Redemption 2 has been announced by Rockstar, and that'll be Rockstar's first game designed from the ground up for current gen hardware. This will be the first Mass Effect game from EA designed for current gen hardware. Visually it looks very impressive. But again, as someone who effectively had all his wrong buttons pushed by Mass Effect 3, they dumbed down the RPG elements, to my mind, way too much. The fact that, again, spoiler warning, but one of the major kind of threads of the story from the first two games was the quote-unquote Protheans, this mysterious race who'd disappeared 50,000 years prior to the first game. And there is a Prothean character you can encounter and actually recruit and get lots of Prothean backstory and stuff in Mass Effect 3, but he is a DLC. And I can guarantee you that he was, certainly for a significant chunk of the game's development, of Mass Effect 3's development, that he was actually probably built in as one of the standard characters you could recruit, and then someone somewhere decided to make a quote-unquote business decision and take him out and make him paid DLC. I don't know if you got him if you pre-ordered the game or not, I can't remember, but either way, it was an extremely shitty thing to do, considering how important the kind of Prothean mythos had been to the previous two games. And to suddenly kind of yank that out of the main game and offer it as DLC I had to pay for, or maybe a pre-order bonus, I can't remember which. Actually, I think it was. I pre-ordered the game, I'm pretty sure, so it was DLC. That was a launch day DLC, the worst, aka one of the worst kinds of DLC. And that really, that was the first thing that really pissed me off about Mass Effect 3. The second one, and this is the same for a huge number of people, was the ending. Some people have argued, like Adam Sessler, creative vision and so on. It's nothing to do with creative vision. The ending of the third game, again, spoiler warning, basically renders all your kind of previous supposedly story or altering decisions from the previous, from the rest of 3 and from 2 and from 1, all but irrelevant. And it also kind of, again, without going into too much detail, it kind of just takes the illusion away that they created the game, that your choices that you made actually mattered. So the Mass Effect 3 ending, from both a storytelling and from a game design standpoint, is just terrible, really, really bad. And this does leave me somewhat suspicious. Maybe EA has learned their lesson. I don't know. But it certainly looks very good, and it does really, really, really look very good, and we're clearly seeing it from, again, with Rockstar with their first game for the current gen hardware. More of the games, like, again, Battlefield 1 apparently isn't a locked 60 FPS on Xbox One and PS4 and multiplayer, but particularly in the smaller maps, so you've got less players. It does kind of stick at that pretty solidly, and it tends to be apparently in the mid to high 50 frames per second for the most part in the big multiplayer matches. So they are really getting to grips with the hardware. And again, Battlefield 1, from what I've seen of it, I haven't played it, unfortunately. I might buy it at some point, and not yet. I still have my mind up. There's so many options. But anyway, again, getting back to my core point, it looks good. I'd say all we saw in the trailer is in-engine. Some of it is kind of pre-rendered or rendered in real time, kind of FMV, or effectively the equivalent of full motion video sequences from inside the game. And there clearly is a few snippets of actual kind of third-person in-game action, fighting what appear to be bosses. That looks really, really visually impressive. But again, the experience of Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect, the first two games I'm a big fan of the franchise. Love the first two games. I like the way I love Dead Space 1 and 2, and only to be turned off in the extreme by the third in the trilogy. Same with Mass Effect, same with Dead Space. I'm a bit skeptical of this, as we'll see what they'll do in terms of whether they're going to throw lots of DLC, as it is going to be full of microtransactions. There's a whole list of things they could do that could really, really rub me and the gamer community as a whole the wrong way. But again, this apparently is coming spring next year. Fingers crossed it hits its release date, and hopefully it has good reviews, and hopefully They don't pull a Bethesda and decide to stop sending out review copies to reviewers the way Bethesda have, which is a decidedly sucky thing to do, if you ask me. Anyway, this is Defub21, spending somewhat longer than I expected to, yammering on about this. Good looking trailer, visually quite impressive, but again, my negative experience with Mass Effect 3 does leave me a bit skeptical, but let's see how things develop. For the moment, if you like this video, please like it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. This is Defub21, signing off. Toodaloo.